Are we all going to be at 2 o'clock this afternoon? Here. Because Amy's going to go wild. In the meantime, you can have all the lunch over at our place. All right. How fantastic is that? Amy and I were talking before the celebration that we see each other regularly, just not here. Sometimes I see Amy more than I see some of you, so, but not here. So this is lovely. Thank you. That was wonderful. Oh, goodness. So last Sunday I was in Seattle at the Amazing Grace Spiritual Center. They have an amazing community. I kept finding myself calling them amazing, and at some point said, I really shouldn't do that. They said, oh yeah, you should. So how wonderful it is to be homeless. Oh, it's good to be home. Yeah, baby. And I want to promise you, I will not be traveling again until Christmas. It's 10 days from now, but I'm here until then. So if you'd like to chat, let me know. Let's see. So a couple of weeks ago, I was in my office in Colorado, and I had promised, kind of signed up at the request of the folks there, to write a blog for the Science of Mind Library and Archives, which is a wonderful operation where they really do have all of these wonderful articles and letters, all the Science of Mind magazines, all of the Creative Thought magazines, all of the history of our organization. They even have a plaid shirt that Ernest Holmes wore to Silmar. It's amazing what they have there. And it was my turn to write the blog. So I went on the website and looked, and sure enough, as most websites do, and I knew it was there, they have a little search place, where you can type something in and go find it. So that's what I wrote my article about. I actually talked about how easy it is to go there and get information, to get inspired, to get material for a Sunday talk. And so what I typed into the search was Christmas. And what immediately popped up was an article by Ernest Holmes that included a very famous quote that I want to share with you today. In the article, after I gave the quote, I said, any minister should be able to give a great talk from this quote. And I realized I kind of set myself up. So it's a bit of a long quote, and so what we're going to do is we're going to do it in pieces. We're going to look at it in sentence by sentence and see how it unfolds for us. And that'll give me something to talk about. So we're going to start with the first line of this quote that I want to use. Christmas is for remembrance. That's a lovely idea, but what are you supposed to remember? You remember your relatives. Maybe good, maybe not so good, I don't know. You remember past Christmases, and as long as they were all happy, you're in a good shape. But if they weren't, then who knows what you're going to remember about that. No, it's none of that stuff. It's actually what we do here on Christmas Eve, I think, is what he was talking about, is remembering what this is. And of course, as metaphysicians, we're not imposing some mystical, high, beyond us quality to another individual. We're not going to do that. What we are going to do, though, is recognize that consciousness within us. It's when we all are in here, when we've done this lovely thing with spreading the light across this room. And as we look at each other, what we say is, the Christ in me honors the Christ in you. The Christ in me honors the Christ in you. Well, what the dickens does that mean? Does that mean Jesus is in me and you? No, it doesn't. It's something much deeper than that. And I went to actually do some research on this to figure out, what is this Christ consciousness thing that we always talk about? And I had my ideas, but I actually took it a little deeper and really came up with some thoughts around this. And rather than just saying it to you, I thought maybe you could look at it while I share it. This is what I came up with. Christ consciousness is our growing awareness of our divine nature. As we embody divine thinking, we move toward greater self-awareness and fulfillment. As this movement occurs, our intention, attention, and openness focus more and more on enlightened ideas of beingness. As awareness of our divine nature grows and strengthens, our lives become more liberated, more joyful, more peaceful, and more loving. So when we look at each other on Christmas Eve and we say, the Christ in me honors the Christ in you, it's saying something remarkable. It's saying that that ability to live that fulfilled, beautiful, exquisite, enlightened life is within you. You could demonstrate it, or you could demonstrate something else. We're always at choice. I think that's the most wonderful thing about life, is no one can make us be a certain way. It came up in Prac 2 class yesterday, where in a lovely moment, one of the members of the class said, I'm taking practitioner 2 to be a better person. And what I told that person is, you're already that. No class, no book, no information is going to make you better. You're already the divine. And this person knew that. But it's true that we think those thoughts. We think maybe if I act a certain way or do a certain thing, I'll be better. But the truth is you're already the divine. You already have within you, demonstrated or not, a consciousness that is wholly divine. The question is, do you want to demonstrate that out into the world? Do you want to live according to that? Do you want to see life through that lens? Is that who you are? The one that uses this tool, rather than living in the drama and the confusion and the upset and the not quite good enough. That's an easy place to go. Frankly, I think that's easier. It's true, it takes a disciplined mind to move beyond it, to move to that place where you can actually be the revelation of the divine. And we have some good models for that. I think Jesus was a model for that. Whoever he was, however he lived his life, he impressed enough people for me to believe that he had in his intention to live according to that high-mindedness, that divine thinking. And he shared that with everyone that came near him. We did an interesting thing at the men's meeting this week. We all sat in a circle, and I read the story of Jesus from the 13th chapter of John. Now, I don't want to suggest to anyone here that I think that everything that is written in the Christian Bible is accurate and factual. I don't. But I think there's some great stuff to look at there, and it really can stretch you if you're looking in the right place. And this was the chapter about Jesus leaving the table, the dinner table, and going over and taking off his robe, his outer garments, tying a towel around his waist, and sitting before each of his disciples to wash their feet. Wow, wash their feet. And it makes for a lovely story. But then I invited all the men there to let me wash their feet. And it gets challenging at that moment. You know, it's some people can do it, and some people go, I really don't want you to wash my feet. You know, I don't remember the last time I washed my feet. I don't find my feet particularly attractive, so I'm not going to do it. And that's perfectly fine. But it was built into the story, that whole idea that Peter told Jesus, no, you're not washing my feet. And Peter said to him, then you're not part of who I am. Ooh. Now, that's not true, that someone's not part of who I am. They don't want me to wash their feet, or some other man to wash their feet. But it's interesting how these ideas stretch us into being something greater. Into really remembering, not that we're better than anyone, because we're not, but that truly we are equal to everyone. And the idea of honoring another is extraordinary. And when you do it in a way that is not socially necessarily acceptable, it brings home the point. It brings home the point that, you know, maybe there is not a hierarchy among us. Maybe just because I'm one of the ministers here, that I should be lifted up above anyone else. No. I have my role in this wonderful community, and I'm grateful for it every day. But I want you to know that I need this place just as much as anyone else. I need to be reminded who I am. I need to be lifted up by others. The same way it's my job to lift you up. That's what we do. That's why we're here. That's the beauty of it. So remembering for me is remembering who we are. And that's our job as a spiritual community, is to help one another remember who we are. We're the divine. We're the beloved. And whether that comes from Rumi or Jesus or Buddha or any other high-minded thinker, the fact remains. This is who we are, all of us, without exception. And our job is to remember that and to live by that. So that's what Christ consciousness is to me. The next piece of this quote goes like this. The love manifest through our gifts to each other typifies the offering of life, the givingness of spirit to its creation. I love this. The hands of the eternal are outstretched through our hands, and the heart of the infinite beats in the human breast. He so poetically finds that there is no space between us and God. There is no outside God that is anywhere near greater than the inside God. In our declaration of self-principle, he speaks it so clearly. The outer God and the innermost God is one God. Not parts of one God. It's the same thing. So that lives in you, that is your breath, that is your thought, that is your life, is the divine. The same divine presence that created the universe without exception. This is who you are. This is who I am. This is our journey to awaken to this and to live according to this, with that authority, with that understanding. That's the work we do. And we give gifts. And I want you to know that I have no problem with commercial giving. A lot of people, kind of poo-poo, about buying presents. Well, nothing wrong with buying presents. The question is, what's that present for? What are you intending to do? Is it an obligation? That might be a little difficult. Do you think you have to get somebody something? If you do, then you're doing it out of obligation, and it's not going to have the full effect you want. Because obligation always has a little sprinkle of resentment back in the corner. I'm obligated to do this. Can you feel it? Obligated. Yeah. And Barbara will always correct me when I say I have to do something. She'll say, you get to do something. You get to do that thing. And I'll go, yeah, you're right, I do. I get to do it. And that shifts my energy into that idea that this is mine to do. I'm happy to do it. This is part of who I am. So if you're out buying presents, don't let the present be the focus. That's really the point of this, I think, because the giving is not the problem. The giving is not the issue. The issue we have is that somehow we think that's the allness of it is the gift. And the gift, the thing, is not the thing. I know that sounds weird, but we'll play with it a little more. The giver must give of himself, for the gift without the giver is bare. Barbara asked me this morning who said that, and I said, well, Ernest Holmes said it. And then I looked at it again, and that's part of the quote is in quotations. The gift without the giver is bare. So I have to clean that up, Barbara. This guy, who was an American poet named James Russell Lowell, said, not what we give, but what we share, for the gift without the giver is bare. Yeah, that's where that comes from. And I've been looking at that, and I've had a couple of opportunities. Last time I spoke 2 weeks ago was right after Thanksgiving, and I had just had that wonderful experience of texting a lot of the people I work with and thanking them for who they were, and that was a lot of fun. And I had my ego got a little involved because not many people responded, but you know what? That was the right thing. They weren't supposed to respond. So once I realized that, I let that go on and thought, this is great. So when I went back to Golden 2 weeks ago, my intention was to make everybody fudge, because that's what I like to do. But I had the flu, so I didn't. Here's fudge from someone who's got the flu. Yeah. So we didn't do that. So I just sat. We've got about 30 employees there, and I wrote each one of them a personal note, thanking them for who they were. And what I realized, I felt really good. You know how when you've got a project like that where you've got to do, it requires a certain amount of attention to get to a point of completing? I felt great at the end of it because I'd shared myself with all these people and written down how important they were and who we were as an organization. And I left feeling great. That's how it works. The more we give of ourselves, the more we get. The more energy we put out, the more energy comes back. We shouldn't feel depleted when we give of ourselves. It's when we give out of obligation that we'll feel completed. Thank God that's over. If we feel that way, we're doing it in a way that's not serving us. Because remember, you are the divine. And whatever you put out must contain that if it's to be real. And that's what Holmes brought to us with this thought, and apparently using the words of Mr. Lowell. It is not enough to give money to a great cause, and all of us have done that. It's not that it's a bad thing, but it's not enough. Only those who understand giving give of themselves, withholding nothing. So we're kind of in that pattern right now. It's the making sure everybody's handled for Christmas. We've got one more Sunday before we're just right down on the holiday. So I'm sure that all of you still have things to do. Here's what I invite you in this season, in this time, is to begin to find ways to include yourself, to really include and share who you are, your divine essence, with those that you love. See if you can't embed that in the midst of whatever it is you're doing and take the attention off some kind of gift. I had great pleasure, Carolina, with you picking up the gift at the practitioner party that we just had, because those were things that sat on my altar. And when you got them, I said, yes, this is perfect. And I enjoyed your celebration of those little trinkets, those little things that were in that box. Yeah, that's true. Yes, you were in one of those dances of giving and receiving over and over again. So when that happened, that really was a lovely feeling for me, because I knew those things had been precious to me, and now they're precious to you. That's giving yourself. There's so many ways to do this, with notes, with phone calls, with just reaching out and saying, I love you. That's all it takes for us to make ourselves the gift that is given at Christmas or any other time. So again, us as a community have this wonderful opportunity to practice this there. So I invite you, before you leave today, not the person sitting next to you that you talk incessantly to all the time, but to someone else in this room who maybe is at a distance from you, that you find them while you're here today and say something beautiful to them that is really your giving of yourself. And see how that makes you feel. How does that move you into this Christmas spirit? I believe it might do something wonderful, because I know who you are. I know the divine presence that dwells in you, and I celebrate that every single day. God bless you for who you are. I love you so much. Good deal. We're done. That's it.